Well, the Cougars will be heading over to Moscow for a matchup with U of I this Saturday. The meet will be the last meet for the Cougs before they head down to Long Beach, California for the Pacific 10 Championships.
Well, it looks like we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, our residential experts will face off, so stay tuned.
That's big quote.
Do you know that stroke targets by color? If you're African American, you're twice as likely to suffer a stroke as white Americans. Join the power to end stroke at strokeassociation.org.
My name's Emily, and in 7 years, I'll be an alcoholic.
Hi. Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw?
Welcome back. You know what? We're going to hold off on face-off for a little bit. It is that good, but also good. A new segment this season, the Tommy G Experience. Enjoy.
And welcome to the first edition of The Experience. I'm Tom Gillanella, and today I want to talk about Cougar basketball. Now, last week, the Cougars suffered their worst loss of the season to the Washington Huskies. They lost by 28 points to the UW on the road in front of a sellout crowd at Heckhead Pavilion. And the thing that really discourages me is not so much that the Cougars were up by halftime, not so much that Klay Thompson got cold, and not so much that Isaiah Thomas of the Huskies got hot. It's really that the Cougars spent much of the second half getting easily frustrated and sulking their heads because of this. Now, I have to ask, would that have ever happened in front of Tony Bennett or Dick Bennett? Would a Seattle Mariner player dare not to run out a pop-up for Lou Piniella? Or would a Seahawk player dare not to hustle in front of Mike Holmgren? It's an interesting concept because this is a very young team, and at the same time, this is a first-year coach coming from the Big Sky Conference with a lot to prove in the Pac-10. And you have to ask yourself, how much of the blame of these losses do you put on the players, and how much of it do you put on the coaches? Personally, I think it takes two to tango. And if the Cougars are going to want to do well this season in the Pac-10 and have at least half a chance to win the Pac-10 regular season crown and also do well in the Pac-10 tournament in Los Angeles, they're going to have to play with a little bit of a better attitude. And they're going to have to play with not so much a cockiness, but more of a swagger. Yes, Klay Thompson is not going to be hot all the time. I mean, not even Tim Tebow is Superman. Not even Tim Tebow is God, if you know what I mean. But the Cougars are going to have to account for when he has a bad day. Same thing with Reggie Moore. Same thing with Nikola Koprivica. Same thing with any player that steps onto the floor. But at least the talent is good enough to get through slumps like this. That's my rant for today. I'm Tom Gillanella.
Thanks, Tom. Well, now we're actually going to toss it over to our host, Julie Burton, who is with Zach Cecil and Neuro 3 for Face Off.
Hey everybody, welcome to another season of Face Off. I'm Julia Burton, and with me tonight is Zach Cecil, and to my right, making his official Face Off debut, Neuro 3. There's a lot going on in the sports world right now, so let's get to it. The college basketball season is in full swing right now. So far, which conferences look the strongest? And secondly, who's the best team in the nation? Neuro?
Okay, as far as college basketball goes, if we are talking about the best conferences, you've got to look no further than the Big East. They're the #1 RPI-rated conference in the nation. They also have 4 teams in the top 8. Those 4 teams being Villanova, Syracuse, West Virginia, and Georgetown. And when you look at all 4 of those teams, any 4 could possibly win the national championship. So, you know, I can't look any further than the Big East, to be honest.
Well, to be honest, the Big East is a bit overrated. Okay. The East Coast bias, I'm tired of it. Okay. It's all about the Big 12. They're going to take 7 teams to the tournament. Kansas is #1. Texas was #1 for a few days. And you have K-State in the top 10, Baylor in the top 20. And, you know, top to bottom, this is a tough conference. Mm-hmm. And Kansas is, you know, the 3rd scoring offense in the nation with Sharon Collins and Cole Aldridge. You know, that's a point guard and a center. That's a tough combination to beat in basketball.
Yeah. I agree. I think Kansas, matter of fact, I think Kansas is going to win the national championship. But as far as conferences goes and depth, I got to look at the Big East. Like I look at the Big 12 and I see Kansas, I see Texas, and Kansas State. Other than those three schools, I don't see any other team bringing it really.
I like Baylor. I like Texas A&M.
Okay.
You know, I like Oklahoma State. But you know, you're right. The Big East has a lot of good teams, but top to bottom, as far as competition goes, it's the Big 12.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to have to go with Zach on that one. The Big 12 is definitely going on right now. All right. Moving on to the NBA, Kobe Bryant just passed Laker great Jerry West for sole possession of the Lakers scoring record. Is Kobe the greatest Laker of all time, Zach?
Well, he just passed Jerry West in points, but that's about all he's going to pass him in. There's nobody greater than Mr. Basketball, Jerry West. He's on the NBA seal. He's a 14-time All-Star. He's got a championship as a player, and he's got 7 as a GM. And then also 3 times he was on the all-defensive NBA team. He's the best all-around player that the Lakers have ever seen, I think.
Okay, I have to disagree. I also don't think Kobe is the best Laker of all time. I got to go with Irvin Magic Johnson. He was a 3-time MVP. He averaged 19 points a game, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds throughout his career. I mean, no one really does that. You look at it, he's a 5-time NBA champion, and the man conquered HIV. I mean, come on. Has Kobe or Jerry West done that? Has anybody done that? I don't think so.
All right, well, I'm going to give that one to Nero. Magic Johnson is the man. So now let's go to the NFL. It's that time of the year. Super Bowl Sunday is right around the corner. Who's going to take home the Lombardi Trophy, guys? Peyton's Colts or America's new team, the Saints?
All right, Super Bowl, I got to go with the Saints. They're the underdog, and that's exactly how they won it. A lot of people think the Saints, are just content with being in the game, but I have to completely disagree. Drew Brees has his troops rallied up and ready to play. And I look at an unhealthy Dwight Freeney means that the Saints running backs are going to be able to receive out of the backfield as opposed to pass protection, And I just think the Saints, they're going to bring it and win it.
Well, I respectfully disagree, Nero.
Okay.
It's all about Peyton Manning.
Okay.
He has 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and that's 2 weeks more than he needs. He has 2 receivers on his team that weren't even starters last year, and not to mention a 100-yard receiver in Reggie Wayne and 100-yard reception tight end in Dallas Clark. And that's with no running game, the worst running game in the NFL, and he still passed for 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, and probably if they would have let him, they would have gone undefeated. And you're right. The Saints could easily throw and move the ball against the Colts, but they have only given up 10 points per game in the postseason. That's defense wins championships. That's where they're going to win.
Okay, all right. Don't sleep on Drew Brees either. He's a hell of a leader. Now, I think the 2 weeks is going to help Drew Brees as well. And I also think that the Saints defense is really going to bring it because they're a big play defense. They got score a lot of touchdowns. I think Peyton Manning isn't going to be ready for that. I mean, it is Peyton Manning, but I just feel that the Saints are going to win the game.
When you pass defend against Peyton Manning, there is literally 4 receivers that he could throw to at any time that are going to make a big play. And I just don't see the Saints, who did have a very good defense, 39 takeaways on the year. I just don't see how they can defend. Look what happened with Darrelle Revis in the AFC Championship game. They tried to move him around, put him on everybody, and Peyton just found the open receiver and turned Pierre Garçon into an amazing player. Got 10 receptions? I mean, no one could do that to Pierre Garçon, and Peyton did it. And it's him. It's all about Peyton Manning. It's all about that passing game and their underrated defense.
All right, I agree. The Colts offense is great, but I think their defense is going to struggle. I think the mismatches that the Saints have on offense, Reggie Bush, the Colts linebackers aren't going to be able to match up with Reggie Bush. That's just a fact, and I think he's going to be a lot of big plays. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I do think, and I just think the Saints are going to be able to prevail.
Well, you know what? Nero can sure debate sports, but the guy cannot operate a teleprompter.
That's for sure. All right, well, that's all we've got. Okay.